Well, good morning, everyone. We are exploring the rich and complicated history of Christianity and studying the Bible in context. We identify bad theology and misconceptions about God, the Bible, about hell, and following Jesus' teachings. If you find this video helpful, let us know in the comments section below. We love hearing your thoughts and experiences. We're not really trying to contextualize the Bible today. We're on a little break from Genesis. And during that break, I'm doing like a series of holiday messages. So it's more application of Christianity, a little more practical Christianity, how to actually act like a Christian, because I find it strange that many people who identify as Christian, wear the label as Christian, become very un-Christian during the holidays. So this is my little holiday guide to here's how to behave yourself. So the Christian's do's and don'ts for Christmas. Don't be a jerk on Christmas. SpongeBob just sang it to you, so if you've never seen that, you can find it on YouTube, you can watch it. Don't diss us with a Merry Christmas. Oh, there's the Starbucks cup, the infamous Starbucks cup, the evil Starbucks cup that some people got really upset about. I'll talk about that a little bit later. What Christmas is all about? Be nice to your relatives. I know sometimes that's a tough one, and hopefully your relatives will be nice to you as well. Keep the peace this Christmas. This is the season of peace, right? That's the first message. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. So maybe we should follow what God told us to do during this season. So how not to be a jerk at Christmas? Well, the same rules for Thanksgiving gatherings apply to Christmas gatherings. If you did not watch our Thanksgiving video, I'm sure Deborah will put a link up there for you so you can watch that. Watch that first, because the same rules apply. When we get together to share a meal, the rules of table fellowship apply. You need to be a good host and take care of your guest. If you find that you have one guest who is toxic and obnoxious and causing harm, you are more than welcome to boot them. They can go stand outside with the Pharisees and grumble. Or if you are in a situation that you know is going to be toxic for you, you don't have to go. It's all right. And as a guest at somebody's home, make sure you do nothing to dishonor your host by causing a scene or causing a commotion. So manners and courtesy, again, are not optional. Your faith does not excuse you from being courteous. And here's Miss Manners, one of my favorite people. Good manners grease the wheels of society, and courtesy requires making allowances for well-intentioned mistakes. Remember that. Remember that. Also, right, remember your Christian faith, your beliefs do not excuse you from having good manners and acting courteously. Please do not try to cover it up by saying things like, well, it's my Christian duty to say this. No, it's not. That's just the cover that you're pretending so that you can act out and throw a tantrum like a toddler. And that's not permitted. Please don't say things like, I'm only speaking the truth in love, because you're not. Love does no harm. And when you're harming other people, you're acting out of your fleshly nature, not your spiritual nature. So stop trying to cover it up with these nice little Christian slogans. Stop throwing your tantrums. Stop being rude. You need to act courteously and have good manners. And that, of course, includes, as I said during the Thanksgiving gathering, let's not talk about religion, politics, gossip, family finances, or rehash old family arguments and family drama. Just set those aside. You can do that later. Do that on a non-holiday day, or just stay home and do it. You can yell at the TV like my dad does. Okay, now, if Jesus is the reason for the season, how many people have heard, Jesus is the reason for the season? Okay. Now, if that's true, then we need to stop the lies about a war on Christmas. I'm so tired of hearing this. It's a manufactured war. There is no war on Christmas. We're not trying to destroy it. Okay. Why do we keep spreading this lie? Because it allows us to act out and say nasty things. Now, here's this guy. Do you know who he is? He's a Fox News anchor. And in 2005, he wrote a book called The War on Christmas, how the liberal plot to ban the sacred Christian holiday is worse than you thought. His name is John Gibson. He wrote this book in 2005. And he sort of resurrected this myth about the war on Christmas. And of course, it feeds into people's fear. It makes them angry. And as I always tell you, if somebody's doing something to make you afraid, somebody's doing something to make you angry, they're manipulating you. And you need to take a step back. But once he wrote this book and he got on air, Bill O'Reilly, of course, interviewed him about his book. And from that time period on, this thing has just exploded all over the place. By 2009, Bill O'Reilly did 56 segments in the year 2009. In the year 2009 alone, he did 56 segments about the war on Christmas. How do you squeeze that into how many ever shows he does? That's a lot of segments on it. He's spending like his whole show doing this war on Christmas nonsense. Now, I was talking to Alex earlier. We were talking about the infamous Starbucks cups. You know, that when they had passed out those red cups, just the blank red cups. They had actually done that for, 2 weeks? Something like 2 weeks beforehand, before Bill O'Reilly does his little segment, War on Christmas. They had done that for 2 weeks beforehand. Nobody said anything. Once Fox News put this up, oh, it's a war on Christmas. Starbucks has removed all the religious imagery from its cups, which they never had on their cups before. Suddenly, everybody's getting upset and complaining, and all the evangelicals flood into Starbucks to ban it, complain about it. Why is there no snowflakes on this cup? Because you're a snowflake, that's why. They stir up anger. They cause dissensions. They cause factions. Gee, isn't that what Paul said was the no-nos in Corinth? That they were having problems like this and they need to get their act together? If Jesus is the reason for the season, don't dishonor his name by using it as a propaganda hit piece. That's all this is. This manufactured war on Christmas is using God's name as a manufactured hit piece for propaganda. And you dishonor him by doing so. Exodus 27, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. All you're doing is taking God's name and turning it into a piece of propaganda. And that's not what his name is for. The ancient Jews who wrote Exodus 27 were so serious about not misusing his name, they wouldn't say it or write it down for fear that they would misuse it. And yet here we just use it for political purposes, to stir people up, to get them angry, to boost ratings. That's a misuse of his name. Stop doing it. There is no war on Christmas. It's all propaganda. And in fact, not only is it propaganda, it's recycled propaganda. You know that old saying, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it? For those of us who study history, we stand by powerless as everybody else repeats it. We're like, here we go again. Are we doing this again? I guess the cycles come around. This is old stuff. This supposed war on Christmas. In 1959, the far-right John Birch Society, how many of you know who the John Birch Society is? They've had major impact upon the Republicans and the conservatives of this country. Many of the recycled conspiracies that you hear over and over again came from them. The war on Christmas came from them. This is just all recycled nonsense. And a lot of the talking points that you hear nowadays, they already talked about back then. And we're just recycling it over and over again. And how much influence and impact that they have had upon American conservatives today, and how much they have influenced one political party, is amazing. But what I find really strange is they started off as anti-communist. But they were the first ones to put out this pamphlet alerting the nation to an assault on Christmas. By December 7th, 2004, that is when the O'Reilly Factor first aired a segment on Christmas Under Siege, interviewing the author of The War on Christmas. So it's just recycled nonsense. Why are we putting up with this? Oh, by the way, one of the lies that the John Birch Society told everybody, they were very anti-UN. They're very afraid of a one-world government. And they were afraid the UN would somehow usher in a one world government. They're afraid of the Trilateral Commission. They're afraid of, forgot what they called them. But anyway, the Trilateral Commission, all those conspiracy theories that you hear about all these different groups and New World Order and all that kind of stuff, it's all from them. They've had a huge impact upon American society. But they were claiming that the UN wanted to ban all Christmas ornaments and you had to hang UN ornaments instead. So how many of you hung up your UN ornament this year? Just checking. Anybody? Did you put up your UN approved tree? Just checking. Recycled propaganda, people. Why do we put up with this nonsense? Because we don't learn from history. Why don't we learn from history? Because in the United States, there are groups actively trying to prevent us from actually learning America's history as it actually happened. And the same thing in Christianity. We make up myths and we don't study the history of Christianity. We don't study the actual history for the context of where Christianity came from. And that's why we mess it up all the time. This manufactured war on Christmas creates a sense of false persecution and martyrdom leading to fear and anger. We're being persecuted. And there's nothing a evangelical loves more than to claim they're being persecuted. I'm being persecuted. Okay, you are not being persecuted. You are not being... Can you get a hold of a Bible if you want one? Yeah, you can go on Amazon and buy it for cheap. Walk into Walmart and buy one. I thought it was hilarious when there was an actively serving congressman who stood up in front of Congress, held up a Bible in his hand, and said, these are illegal to sell nowadays. And I'm like, you probably bought it off Amazon, moron. Why would anybody believe this? And yet they always are claiming persecution because that leads to fear and that leads to anger. And as I keep telling you, fear and anger, those are the two emotions used to manipulate you. You are being manipulated. You are being used for political purposes. And worse, they're using God's name to do it. When you join in this fake war on Christmas with your grievances, you are using God's name in vain. Congratulations, you're joining in on this particular sin. Well, there's just this war on Christmas going on. I don't want to hear about the war on Christmas during my Christmas dinner. Because you know what? We prayed over that Christmas dinner, and nobody broke in the door and arrested us. We had Christmas services, and nobody came into the church and arrested us. Nobody stopped us from practicing Christianity. There is no war on Christmas. You can celebrate Christmas any way you want, and the government's not going to stop you. And despite the lies that are told that somehow it became illegal to say Merry Christmas, that's not true. That's a lie. There is no war on Christmas. It's manufactured. It's made up. It's pure propaganda. When you start doing this, you are serving a political agenda rather than celebrating and remember God's gracious gift to humanity. It has moved the focus off. The war on Christmas does more harm by taking the focus someplace else rather than us getting together as a family, fellowshipping together as a family, and focusing on this is the time when God gave us the greatest gift because he is a graceful God. Instead, we're all looking at what? Starbucks cups. We're walking around and we're looking to see, does it say Happy Holidays? I'm boycotting them. We've completely lost focus. It does exactly the opposite of what it's supposed to do. No fake persecution, please. Getting tired of it, folks. Starbucks plus, cups plus, a whole bunch of anger equals no, don't do it. You can't believe the stories that are being told anyway. They're all propaganda. Oh, this Christmas wrapping paper doesn't have any religious symbols on it. Well, if you want that, just move a couple aisles down and there it is. It's easy to find. You can get it on Amazon. You can get everything on Amazon. If you want to buy it cheap, you get it on Temu or Wish or Alibaba. They'll send it to you. Happy holidays, says Pastor Bruce. Jesus is the reason for the season. It's Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. I see people get so upset about this. Practically foaming at the mouth. How dare you wish me a happy holiday? It's Merry Christmas. Jesus is the reason for the season. Really? You're going to get upset because somebody was being nice to you and said happy holidays? It's dishonoring my faith. No, it's not. See, even if you look at it from a Christian perspective, let's look at this from a Christian perspective. First off, it's not just Christmas, it's the Christmas season, which is actually quite long. Because it starts 4 weeks before Christmas with Advent. So we have the Advent season going on, then we have Christmas Eve, then we have Christmas Day, then we have the Feast of Epiphany, and if you're Anglican or Episcopalian, you get to celebrate all the way till Candlemas 40 days later. That means you can wait for 40 days before you take down the Christmas tree. So if anybody's giving you grief about it, just tell them, I'm waiting for Candlemas. There's a whole bunch of holidays and feasts that happen during the Christmas season. So happy holidays is fine, since we're doing a whole bunch of holidays. It's not just Christmas. But from a non-Christian perspective, right, in order to be more inclusive and not exclusive, we wish happiness on those who also celebrate things like Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Bodhi Day, Yule, Diwali, Festivus for the rest of us. Later, Stanton will be putting up the Festivus poll. Is it really that bad to acknowledge that maybe somebody else doesn't share our faith and to still wish them well? When did it become such an evil thing to look at somebody and just say, hey, I hope you have a great time this holiday season? When did that become such an awful thing, to wish well to somebody else? Well, because Jesus is the reason for the season. Happy Saturnalia. I wonder if Jesus ever said that. See, we need to learn to love our neighbor as ourselves. Remember that thing that Jesus said? See, this is Jesus' teaching. Love our neighbor as ourselves. I'm not loving my neighbor if I marginalize their traditions and demand mine to be predominant. That I would actually wish them, evil because they don't celebrate the way I do. I need to actively reach out and love my neighbor, and by just giving them a blessing, happy holidays to you, happy whatever you celebrate. I wish you well. I'm loving them. I am not loving them by marginalizing them or being disrespectful of their particular beliefs and traditions. I may not accept their beliefs and traditions. I don't need to be rude about it. Libs have made it illegal to say Merry Christmas. You darn libs. It has never been illegal to say Merry Christmas. That is just a lie. That is just a lie. And even worse, people, because of their fleshly nature, ate it up and repeated it and amplified it and kept saying it. And even worse than that, they even know it's a lie. There's Merry Christmas all over the place. I see those signs up. I see it on wrapping paper. People wish me Merry Christmas all the time. And there's no hidden, police force jumping out and arresting them really quick. Did you see that? Right there. He was at work, and that coworker came up and he said, Merry Christmas, arrest him. That never happens. Nobody's preventing you from saying Merry Christmas. And if you think it's illegal, you're an idiot. I can't make it more plain than that. It's just an out-and-out lie. And remember, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That's one of the top 10. So by saying this, those libs, they made it illegal to say Merry Christmas, you're lying. You are bearing false witness against your neighbor. Did you catch that? You are actively sinning by spreading this piece of propaganda. So stop it. I mean, why would you bother to demand that it be put up in a schoolroom if you aren't going to live it out? Let's put the 10 Commandments in the schoolroom. We'll make things better. Great. I just posted the 10 Commandments in the schoolroom. Think I'll go out there and lie about the libs. What kind of example are you to the children that you're supposedly trying to influence? If you're going to be out there actively lying like this, please, please, please remove the label Christian that you wear. Take the fish off your car. Pick up that doormat that says, "As for me and my house, we shall follow." Take all that stuff away. You're making Jesus look bad with just your sheer hypocrisy. Well, the church is full of hypocrites. Yeah, that's what we're trying to fix. Not use it as an excuse. If the reason for the season is Jesus, then let's honor him by imitating him. I never once saw in any of Jesus' teaching going, the Romans have made it illegal to. He never spread any lies about the Romans. He never spread any lies about the scribes or the Pharisees. He was harsh on them, but at least he was truthful. But he never spread lies about them. Jesus didn't use propaganda. Those who hated him used propaganda against him, but he never stooped to that level. So we need to imitate him. Remember this, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law. Why do I see so little of this from fundagelicals, people who wear this label Christian, during the Christmas season? I see a lot of out-of-control, raging people on the freeways, in the parking lots, in the stores. I'm not seeing the fruits of the Spirit manifested during the Christmas season. And yet, shouldn't that be what we are showing the world as Christians? Retail stores, uh-oh. Yeah, I'm going to go off on retail stores here for a second. There's Mabel. There's no such thing as good customer service anymore. These young kids aren't interested in serving the customer. You know what? One of the fruits of the Spirit is patience. Maybe you need to show a little bit. Now, I will confess, I am not the most patient person in the world. I'm a bit irritable sometimes. Told you once, told you twice. I think I told you enough. I get a little impatient sometimes, true, but I will admit also, okay, one point in my favor over here, at Christmas time, I remind myself constantly, be patient, be patient, be patient, it's okay. There's a lot going on. I don't need to ruin this retail clerk's life because I'm impatient. I don't need to yell at them. Just get up there, smile, nod, be pleasant. Walk away, go to your car, scream and yell obscenities there where nobody can hear you. Okay, but yeah. Okay. I work extra hard at Christmas time to be as patient as I possibly can because it's one of the fruits of the Spirit. The rest of the year I forget about it, but that's it. One of the fruits of the Spirit is definitely patience. Didn't you sing the Herbert the Snell song, patience song? How many people sung that song, Herbert the Snell? You remember that? Who remembers it besides me? Am I the only one who sang it in Sunday school? Stanton? No? You don't remember this one? Right? Have patience. Oh, there you go. Now he remembers it. Have patience. Don't be in such a hurry. You guys don't... When you get impatient, you only start to worry. Remember that God is patient too. And think of all the times when others have to wait for you, right? I literally sing this to myself sometimes in the retail stores. And people are looking at me like, I think there's something wrong with that guy, because I'm sitting there going, right? Just, Who knew that I actually learned something in Sunday school, right? But we need to be patient. Patient with the people around us, patient with the person who just cut us off, patient with all the retail clerks, patient with the people there as you're trying to get your food, patient with all the servers. We need to be patient. It's a busy, terrible, crowded time, right? Christmas is crazy. There's traffic, there's long lines, there's crowds. It's insane. So we need to honor Jesus by showing patience as he shows patience towards us. Ask yourself this question. What would happen if Jesus treated me like I'm treating that store clerk? What would happen if Jesus treated me like I'm treating that person who just cut me off? If Jesus treated me like I'm treating other people, what would happen to me? I'd probably be toast. If Jesus is the reason for the season, celebrate God's generosity to humanity by being generous yourself. Christmas is a time for generosity. Bless others with your generosity as God has blessed you. As SpongeBob said in the song, it's not about you. This is a time to be generous. It's a time to help other people. And so I really encourage you, during this Christmas season, if we're going to imitate Christ, if we're going to imitate God, be generous. Now, this is not a sales pitch to get you to, give your end of the year giving in. This is one of my favorite charities during this time to give to, the Orange County Rescue Mission, who provides meals for people who don't have meals, provides Christmas meals. I love donating to them because I believe in their cause. But I don't care who it is. Whatever charity that you think deserves it, or if you know of a family in need, please give to them. This is a time to be generous. ODM does a toy drive for kids who don't have toys. And as one of our former elders, who unfortunately has passed, Dustin Thompson used to say, just go to the dollar store if you're on a budget, because a dollar toy is better than no toy. This is your time to be generous, as God was generous with us. And so I encourage you to find a charity that you connect with, or to find a family, or to find some people in need, and to be generous during this time. Maybe cut down on your own lavish spending. I know I spend a lot at Christmas. It's like, sales, look at all the sales. I need that, and I need that, and I need that, right? Cut down a little bit on that so that you can be generous with other people. So, having heard all this, how do we worship God? By living it out. See, that's the whole point. If there's no practical application, why have all this information? Right? We fill our head with information and then we don't live according to it. We need to have practical application. As I responded to one of the comments, I really think Christianity is pretty simple. Don't be a jerk. That kind of sums up Christianity right there. Treat others as you would treat yourself. Love God, love your neighbor. There it is. We tend to complicate Christianity. I don't think we need to make it that complicated. Practice good table fellowship. We're gathering together. Yes, I may be gathering together with some people I don't agree with. I may be gathering together with some people I may not even like. I may be gathering together with somebody I have a 30-year feud with. If you really want to celebrate the spirit of Christmas, get over it. Get over that feud. End it. But when you get together at that table and you're fellowshipping together, manners, courtesy, avoid all those controversial topics, be a good guest, or stay away. As a guest, your faith does not excuse you from basic manners and courtesy. But I'm just speaking the truth in love. No, you're being rude. You're acting out and you're just using that as a cover, so knock it off. As a host, don't allow toxic people to harm your guests. That's your responsibility as a host. It's okay. You can say, you know what? You can leave right now. See you later. Bye. Or refuse to invite them. I would invite you to the Christmas, but you were so bad at Thanksgiving, you're not welcome. That's a hard thing to say, but it's your responsibility as host to love your guest and to protect them. Stop with the fake persecution and the manufactured war on Christmas. It's a lie. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbors. You can't say, oh yes, I love my enemies, if you're out there actively lying about them. So stop. You dishonor the name of Jesus, use God's name in vain, and serve political agendas by participating in this annual grievance fest. I don't know what label Bill Riley wears, whether he considers himself a Christian or not, but he needs to rip it off. If he proclaims himself a Christian, he needs to stop because he's making Jesus look bad by using God's name in vain to promote his particular political agenda. All those folks doing that need to stop. If you somehow feel compelled to correct people when they say happy holidays, just tell them they're using God's name in vain. Happy holidays is not an assault on Christmas. It's a way of wishing joy and happiness to others during this time of year and not being a jerk. Demanding your holiday be the only holiday makes you a jerk. When did it suddenly become unchristian to wish others joy and happiness? Yeah, but they're celebrating the wrong thing. It doesn't matter. Love our neighbor, love our enemies, go out and bless them, wish them joy and happiness. For Christmas, for Christians, Christmas is about celebrating the greatest gift to humanity. We honor Jesus by reflecting his grace and his generosity. Be patient, be graceful. You need to sing that song. You can find it on YouTube if you don't know the tune. As you stand in that retail line, and people are jostling and being rude and complaining, and the person behind you, the person up there ringing things up doesn't know how to use the register correctly, and the credit card machine breaks down, and there's all this, right? Just sing it to yourself. Have patience, right? And then when you get home, okay, close the door and yell whatever you want, but don't do it out there in public, right? We honor Jesus by reflecting his grace and his generosity. Let there be peace on earth. You don't need to cause a ruckus. We don't need you being the chaos agent, stirring up trouble. Let there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all people. Those are literally the first words that the angels proclaimed at the birth of Christ. Let there be peace on earth and goodwill towards men. If we want to reflect the God that we serve, these are the words that he spoke to us. Peace to all of you. And it's not just peace as a lack of fighting, but it was peace as blessing. Shalom. Blessings to all of you. No war, no ill will. I have goodwill towards all of you, as we should have towards our fellow human beings, if we're going to follow Christ. If not, please remove the label, take the fish off your car, take the Jesus bumper sticker off your car, take down the Christian decorations, turn off the lights, don't tell anybody you're a Christian, because you make us look bad. Peace on earth, goodwill towards all men. That's what this holiday season's all about. With that, let me close in prayer. Lord Jesus, we just come before you as we prepare ourselves to celebrate Christmas, as we move through the Advent season, Christmas Day itself, moving on to the Feast of Epiphany. Lord, during this holiday time, let us honor your name by acting like you, by imitating you. Let us be your voice this year. Let our hands be your hands this year as we minister and serve to others. Let us not lie. Let us not spread propaganda. Let us not be angry, divisive, fearful people. But let us enjoy the peace, the blessing that you give us, and then to bless others. Help us to be generous with others. Help us to be patient with others. We pray this in your name. Amen. Once again, if you found today's content helpful, be sure to subscribe to our channel, like it, give a thumbs up, share the video if you can, or leave us a comment. It helps our community as well as our YouTube channel. We thank you so much, especially everybody who's made it to the end. Please send this out, share it, comment. We want to get this message out there. I believe Christianity is very, very simple. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Everything else is just commentary. Theologians having a good time. But don't be a jerk. That's all there is to it. Let me close with this benediction. As you leave this place, may you imitate Christ in all you do during the holiday season. God bless you all. Go in peace. You are dismissed. Thank you.
We are one in Christ. We are one in God. We are one in unity. We are one in truth. We are one in faith.